All right, so this is kind of where we are contrast-wise. So I like, again, people might look at that and be like, wow, that looks kind of gross. It's going to look like crap until it's done. That's how painting works. So if you're self-conscious about your paint job until the very end, good. That's how it's supposed to be. So obviously still very, very red. I actually want to go a little bit higher on that contrast, so I'm going to take a little bit more of that ochre. And I'm going to mix it like towards the edge of it so that I get even less of that color that's underneath it. And so this is going to be like the picky, or yeah, where the picky spotting is going to be. So again, I'm going to kind of wipe off a little bit of the extra just so I have as little in this poor, ruined brush as possible. Give it a little
spit.
Little transparency. And then I'm just going to do a little dabbing. So they would call this like a stipple, I guess, if you really want to call it something.
It is a stipple. That is the correct term.
Whether it's like a full stipple or not, whatever. But I'm giving the paint a little poke. Now, what the poking does is it makes it so that there's not enough paint in there for it to fully like occupy that space. So again, it kind of helps with that transparency, and it helps fool the eye into thinking that the blend is smoother. And again, you're just gonna with this, you're gonna pick the high points. You're gonna be kind of picky about this. This one, you're not really sketching. You're just gonna find where you think the light is gonna hit, do a couple dabs, and get out. Less is more in a lot of ways. And kind of just get those high spots. Get the top of the little toe beam.
Paw pads.
Well, the pad's the bottom, right? Technically. Like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a dog scientist, but...
But you have cracked the spine of one.
I do adjust my dogs.
See?
You didn't legally hear that, because I'm not technically allowed to do that.
Well, you do it as a hobby, not as a... They didn't come to you for treatment.
That's true. That's true, I guess. They didn't pay me.
Yeah, they just come around a corner and you're just like, snap. Oh, there you go.
Woof. But joking aside, I do actually get my dogs adjusted. There's a dog.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, dog chiros. So chiropractic, a lot of people that race horses, that's kind of where animal chiropractic has come into like full fruition, because race horses will commonly have neck problems from like...
How do you crack a horse's neck? With
yeah.
a
Cinder block.
So actually, ironically enough, you do it with like a hammer, and you do it with like a wedge, depending on the animal.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty gentle stuff.
Doing it to dogs and cats and stuff. It's wild. But not a joke.
You've been hitting dogs and cats with hammers?
No, I've seen TikToks of dog chiropractic.
Oh, I was slightly horrified for a second. I thought you were just wandering around your neighborhood hitting dogs and cats with hammers.
Well, yeah, that too, but like,
Well-
that wasn't what I was talking about.
That's for love of the game. That's why you do that.
That's my hobby.
It's not streamed on Twitch, I don't think.
So this is like some kind of... I'm getting the vibe that this wizard doggo is some kind of fire elemental. He likes fire. You know what? That's okay. I like fire too.
Most people from Florida fans of fire.
Yeah, it's true. As a representative, I can truly say that. When I was in oil paintings, pointillism was my favorite side. Yeah, so that's a fair point. There's something to say about poking paint. You just get a different effect. You get the PP. Go out there with the PP. Poke and paint. All right, so now what I'm going to do, just to be kind of picky, just to kind of clean up anything I don't like, I'm going to go back to the very first color, which is that scrag brown, get a little bit, make it real watery. And then I'm just going to go to the parts that I really want to kind of blend or make them a little bit darker. And I might even go all the way up to like that highlight area and just give it a little, I wouldn't even call it a wash, but you take the brush, you slap it there, and then you pull it towards the dark spot.
Is that a glaze?
You could probably consider this a glaze.
It's a paint technique.
Yeah, it is. And
Go away.
And I do it just to the point where it helps with the blend. With glazing, you might do it in a couple layers just to get different like colors and effects and stuff on things. Whether you want to keep doing it to tint something or whatever, go ahead. Monument Hobby makes some very good translucents. I don't think I brought any, but translucent black is something that I will pull out pretty consistently if there's something I'm like, I really want this just to kind of be darker.
Gotcha.
It's a lot more controlled than just washing. So if you want to step away from washing, you're going to have to learn how to do something like a glaze. Or you can even use the translucence or even the fluorescence in some way. It's kind of a similar concept, but that's usually if you want to go up. which
Right into the microphone.
right, yeah, if you want to go all the way up into the microphone. So again, it's not perfect, but and again, when it comes to like dog fur, you don't whatever, it doesn't really have to be perfect because fur's not perfect because it's not even level. So he's very bright red. I don't think I've ever seen a dog that red, but he's a
What about a fire elemental?
he's
dog?
a yeah exactly.
He's a fire mage dog.
He's a mother loving wizard. Okay, so then, like I said, my usual rule of thumb is to go from inside out, so you get that. At this point, everything else is just kind of like an article of clothing. I'm going to do the lantern last because there's more than likely going to be I'm going to maybe do a little OSL, not a whole lot, just more for fun.
Object source lighting, right?
Yeah, object source lighting for anybody who doesn't know. So what I see right now, so I'm going to start painting stuff that's a little harder to reach now, just in case I create a mess. So I'm going to go for this leather belt. +2 stam leather, +1 agility leather belt or whatever it is that joke is on his tummy. So I got to find another black or another dark. I'm going to go for a dark brown. My usual go-to is Rhinox hide. Again, another Citadel color.
That is a good color.
Yeah, it's great. It's got a little bit of red in it. And this color and the Scrag brown I very commonly will use together. How many people are watching this? I have egotism. I gotta worry about.
205.
Oh, okay. Jeez. Hi, guys. Hi. All right, so this one, it might be hard to...
Tim left and the numbers went up.
They just skyrocketed.
You know.
What are you clicking at?
We're getting in trouble. You can't really see it in there. It's kind of hard to see.
It's not your network anymore.
There's a belt in
It's
there.
Dr. D and I's.
So in this case, I might even talk about texture a little bit.
We posted it in the Slack channel.
You guys assume the debt too, right?
No, we put that on Taylor.
We return the slab, though. Return the slab. Return the slab. Anybody get that joke? We're best friends now.
If I don't get it, can we still be best friends?
Yeah, I'll make an exception for you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Because you're important to me.
All the games are done now at Squad Goals.
So there's supposed to be a lunch break. I don't really...
Starts at 1:30.
I don't really feel the need to eat, so I might just paint. I might just paint through it and just wait until the next round. So if you guys really want something to do. So because I'm sitting here and because I like simple paint jobs, I'm just going to paint all of the things that are leather. I'm just going to cover it in this color. Even if I paint the leather different shades of brown, I like to keep certain colors consistent because it helps, again, kind of keep it all together. And so the one thing I want you to note is note that red. Note the red on the doggo. At the end of this, after all of the other colors are painted, he might not look quite as red. So that's why usually if there's something I don't like, I might just be like, you know what, I'm just going to wait till the very end just to see if I actually don't like it because the human eye is a tricky little widget just because of the way rods and cones work.
How do you feel about painting terrain?
I despise it, generally speaking. I'll do it, but I don't like to. See, I have a simple chiropractic brain in that I like my jobs to be going there, boom, get it all done, and then just be done with it. But when it comes to terrain, you can get so lost in the weeds, and because...
It's called the never-ending story.
Yeah. You could sit there and you could spend your entire life painting a single building with all the little details you could do. Not my favorite thing to do. But, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I love doing the tiny details on that kind of stuff, and the problem is I spend so much time on it that I never get anything else done. So, yeah. We got a little mana potion. Fun. Oh, this mod's so good. I do love a good spellcaster. So, again, we're just doing some simple base coats here. Nice dark brown.
Yeah.
A little bit of red in it because it helps with kind of breaking it up. Because if you only have, like, kind of flat colors... your models are going to look, I don't want to say boring, but they might look a little flat. The bedroll here, I'm probably going to paint like a creamy color. Just stereotypically, when you see these kinds of things, they're like some kind of cream. So now we're kind of running into what I would like to call like a danger situation where there's a strap going on to this bedroll. So the question is, do you paint the bedroll first, or do you go for just finishing the entirety of a certain thing? I'm just going to try and paint the straps and just try and be clean and tidy when I paint the bedroll.
Yeah.
I play Warhammer. It's not really. I'm full-time, so it's kind of like
Tizzy, have you ever gone on an adventure as a doggo wizard?
Never. Not yet.
That's a shame. Maybe some point.
Being that I'm not a dog.
Also, I'm stupid. His ears are poking out through the hat, so I gotta go in there and paint those real quick.
What?
Shut up, Tim.
So it's like, hey, if it's in the area, let me have
Well, I'm going to let Tim jump back on because I know he's angry. I'm sure about something. So.
I can't believe you said that about this thing and that.
Right?
Sure. Well,
This?
now he's mad about that.
Yeah, I don't care. They were $10, he said.
20. Yeah, just leave the adept to debit and I'll take care of it. All right, what'd I miss?
Are you Dale Adepta Dimmadet?
Adepta Dimmadome?
Go down Dimmadome.
Oh, what, do you mute me?
We have some really beautiful. Yeah, so
According to Greek mythology,
the Greek mythology.
the stream audience prefers Tizzy. Wow. All right. Wow.
You just got here.
Oh, he kicked out the headset. That's why I can't hear. He pulled the gosh dang whole thing out.
What a gosh darn doofus. Give that a sec to dry.
So what are you painting, like a dog or something?
Yeah, dog.
With a wizard hat?
Yeah, dog.
Is it a wizard hat or a witch hat?
It is a kind of both, I guess. Is it a man or a female?
Anyone can be a witch or a warlock.
I mean, I can't tell. This model's a little ambiguous, so it might be both?
Okay.
Question mark?
Yeah.
That's okay. Anyway, so now the leather. Leather comes in all different kinds of shapes and forms. It could be a dark brown or a light brown. Because I like my colors to be somewhat tied together, I'm actually going to go straight back into that I think it's scrag brown. I use it all the time, and I always forget what it's called. Yeah, scrag.
Scrag brown.
Don't let anybody... Okay. Shut up, Dan. I'm going to bully you.
We just bully Dan instead.
Again, so scrag brown, I'm going to want to try and tie it in with the Rhinox. So I kind of, again, you just kind of give me, just take a little bit, just mix it in there.
You want some music?
Just a tip, sure.
Want some background music?
Sure.
What's your flavor of music?
I usually listen to terrible arena country, but I'm not going to subject people to that.
No,
kind of
listen, there's a channel for it on here.
Kara's gonna want you to play whatever channel you were playing. Yeah, see, I knew she was gonna do it.
Oh, the emo one? Yeah, 1000%. That one's dope. That one's real good, actually. I must be emo. Well, until I find that, I'll play the punk one.
All killer, no filler. All right, so with this brown, or with this leather color, I'm gonna do a little bit of stippling because I want this to be somewhat of a rougher texture. So right now, when you're just doing the first highlight or the mid-tone or whatever you want to call it, you can be pretty smooth with it. You just paint it on there because you're just trying to look. But if you paint it with a little bit of a stippling poke, again, it probably might look a little better in the long run. So when you get it on there, I just kind of poke and pull and poke and pull, and sometimes maybe I don't do a full pull and all that. And you want to keep going towards the direction of the light, which, as we established, is to the top and right of the model. Make sure you don't miss certain parts of it, like I did with the ear. If you do, you're going to increase your self-loathing stat.
What's a good level for a self-loathing stat to be at, just kind of in general?
Depends on what system and edition.
Let's go...
27.
Okay. I hadn't played since 8th
Sure.
grade, so I figured that might be a little bit different.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm pretty certain music's playing, we just can't hear it. Let's see if that changes it. The answer to that riddle is no.
How about no? How about no, Scott?
All right, never mind. Guys, do you guys hear music out there in internet land? Oh, precious knee, California. Thank you for the follow.
It's a nice white.
It's a nice white noise. Okay, yeah, we'll stop that then. Boom. So what is it you're doing now?
I'm painting some leather.
Leather.
Yep.
Which I feel like I had heard that that can kind of like come in all shapes and sizes and colors.
Sure can.
Can it come in heart shapes and stars?
If you want. Stars and garters.
Okay. Clovers or blue moons?
No.
Pots of golden rainbows?
No.
How about those loof balloons?
I mean, if you want to.
So guys, the event here for Squad Gold is on a break. 2.5 hour rounds, I guess, and on an hour lunch break. So we'll probably take said lunch break here in about 14 minutes, and we'll be back at 1:30?
No, I can just stay.
2:30. You sure?
Yeah.
You want to just send her out?
Just bring me a coffee.
No.
I don't know.
But I guess I could.
I mean, you could.
I don't think there's coffee places here.
So, listen, I said bring me coffee. I didn't say bring me excuses.
Well,
Huh.
they do have an excuses place.
Yeah,
I think
go
they're
on.
still open. They're open till 4.
Get to it. Chop, chop.
All right.
Chop.
You want anything to eat?
I don't know. Whatever. Something. I don't really care. As long as it doesn't make me sleepy.
Yeah, Central Time, PCN Mom.
So as long as it ain't got like filled with carbs.
Fill the carbs. That's like full name is
Ancient
Philip.
French painter.
Philip the Carb.
Philip Le Carb.
He's actually related to a gentleman that was running for, I think, Central District Mayor in Indiana. Fill up my mouth with farts. I don't know if you sent any of his campaign stuff. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Did his fridge run for office too?
His fridge? No. Nope, he did not. All he had was multiple deep freezers. It was really weird. He ended up getting convicted of something. I just kind of don't remember what it was.
No crabs.
As a
None.
as a side note, Jacob, a friend of the Alfredo Size 3 taco truck, made these dope awards. So there's one for first, second, and the third. This is one of the first place ones. Boom, boom, boom. And there's a first place for painting as well.
Can I win?
I mean, you're the only one actively painting.
Painted, yeah. I don't know. I think it puts me pretty much right in the lead.
But yeah, these are really neat. They're poured resin, so like they're pretty harders too. You could, I don't know, put that in the freezer and then cool down a drink with it. Probably.
That's
Resin's good for that, right?
I like to have prizes that are also kind of utilitarian. You know?
Yeah.
Something you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Owen Wilson, I would say,
Wow.
"Wow."
Wow.
Kara's supportive.
That's a good thing to have.
It is. I think most of the people in the network are lucky with the ladies they have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so again, I'm not sure what you guys are seeing here, but gonna keep painting. So I'm just gonna go straight to pure Scrag Brown, and this one I'm actually gonna, again, I'm gonna lick the brush just to kind of make it not quite as filled with paint, and I'm just gonna stipple. So leather is generally speaking a very rough texture. So when that happens, if you stipple, it makes it look like it has a texture of like pitted, like a pitted feeling to it. And again, when I poke, you poke and kind of gradually move the brush towards where you want the light, because when whatever side the light is hitting, you're going to see more of the like the roughness, pitting in the non-flat surface. And if you like this painting, sign up as a digital nomad
Mm-hmm.
on the Patreon. And then you can convince me to do a lot of different things. Some of which I'll be happy to do.
What do users at the Digital Nomad tier get?
Everything in the network,
Everything?
as far as I know. You get, oh God, here we go. Japapa,
Yeah. Got it.
Jamama.
That one's not technically released yet, but yeah, you'll get access
Oh,
to
sorry.
Japapa as well, the Japapa spinoff.
I broke the NDA. You get Settling the Southlands.
Mhm.
You get...
That's at the $10 tier. That's a premium show.
Oh, I thought... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought Digital Nomad got you everything.
Anything at Digital Nomad gets you everything at the other $5 tiers and below.
Right.
So like if you were like, oh well, I really like a Papa, like, but I really want to be a Digital Nomad. Anything that you would get at the $5 tier for the Kapapa tier, you'll also get at the Digital Nomad tier.
Okay, sweet. So there's a bunch of different $5 tier like for the different shows. From what I understand, there's also one for beards, ears, and skulls.
The Elector Casuals. Yep.
Yep. Elector Casuals. There's a D&D one, isn't there?
There was. That one actually turned into the Elector Casuals.
Okay,
there was a Pathfinder one. It got rebranded.
Got it.
Mildly curious. Listen, we're normally at a spice level 4 here at the network, which would be like more of a, not like a Chipotle ranch, but more of like an actual like smoked pepper hot sauce that has a nice smoky flavor, maybe a hint of sweetness, some pineapple. Or something in there to add some acidity as well as some sweetness, but it's still going to be overly warmer than like a mild.
What about like a Doritos Cool Ranch?
4 out of 7. 4 out of 7. No, we would not be a 4 out of 10. 7 max. If we were a 4 out of 10, then we'd be. I mean, that's just kind of like when you salt your milk before you pour it on your bread. You ever have milk bread?
No.
Gotcha.
I don't eat things I can't pronounce.
You can't pronounce milk bread?
No.
What about milk bread?
No.
Milk bread? From Jocko Fuel. Use code Professional Casual when you buy your protein from Jocko Fuel.
From Jocko Fuel.
Milk steak or little green ghouls. My dad eats milk and crackers.
Well, I mean, I'm sure eating those two things like on their own isn't a big deal, but
Yeah.
like,
But like he dips the crackers in the milk?
Is it like a compound substance?
My grandfather used to just shove his full slice of cake in a glass of milk. Kind of wait for it to combine, thicken up.
So, okay, you know what? This is something that I know some of the people that are in, the PCN kind of community have been wondering. Was it like a genetic thing when your dad lost his legs? Like, did your grandfather not have legs and he like was born with the inability of having legs?
No, oddly enough, so it usually skips a couple generations. My grandfather actually only had a quarter leg on his father's side. His father had a half leg.
Sure.
So it kind of eventually just turned into a no leg thing. Because once you get to a quarter of a quarter, it's kind of like a Half-Life system.
Sure.
It was just bone. There was no flesh or skin on it.
So would you say that if that happened enough, Half-Life 3 might be confirmed?
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is confirmed. Half-Life 3.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Good job, Gabe.
Gaben. The man, the myth, the Gabe.
Hey, that guy's probably made more money than I'll see in my life. So he's made at least $20.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing.
I don't know. Please tell me.
You don't actually have to work very hard to find like $39 exactly. Sometimes you just walk out into a parking lot and it's just blowing around. Like one of those cash grab phone booths that you have at kids' parties.
Yeah, dude, that's rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to call it, I'm a Rocky Body. And then in parentheses, it'd be called Till the Break It Down.
Actually, yeah, like a lychee cake, that would be milk and cake all in one. He wouldn't even need a glass.
That's true.
He wouldn't have to wait for it either, outside of, preparing it and cooking it and waiting for it to cool and putting it in the oven and marking it with a T.
Also, new sponsor, Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, sponsored this from the styrofoam factory that he works part-time at.
Oh, the styrofoam burning factory.
Yeah, right.
39 in a parking lot? Are you getting mugged at a strip club? Listen.
Somebody did, and they found it.
Yeah, outside of an abandoned Sears.
Okay.
We were at the game store playing a Star Wars Unlimited event. It finished up. The gate was closed, so we had to exit through the back door. And then, we just found a bunch of money on the ground.
I since remedied the ears. Those are done. So the leather itself, again, kind of hard to see because of just like the way where it is. So I started adding some like texture to it.
There is an autofocus button at the top, that center one.
Boop. Yeah, okay. So you can kind of see it there. Where it is, you can kind of start to see the gradient in the color. Like in that dark part, you can definitely see how it's a little bit darker. And so, again, if you want to paint in the style that I do, you're going to want to leave some dark spots because I find that the contrast really helps make it look more interesting. Again, but it's mostly like a preference thing. Like if you like your stuff to be more realistic, you may not leave quite as much contrast in it. So most of the time when I paint my leathers, I usually will go with some kind of bone color. So Screaming Skull is usually my go-to. You just pop that sucker open, you grab just a itty bitty little bit amount of paint. You get this. You want to mix it with just a little bit of the previous color. So I'm going to just kind of mix it in there, get a little scrag brown here. Now again, this might look kind of intense, this one right here. So this is what the next color is going to be. So I mix it in with just the right color, with just the previous color. I want to wipe off a lot of that. And what you're going to do, now this is going to be the stippling part that requires the most kind of control. So you're going to find the spot, and then you're just toward the edges, you're just going to give it a little bop. And honestly, it being watery in some ways actually kind of makes it a little bit better because what it'll do is it might pool and look a little bit more natural. I'm starting to hear music.
I figured it out.
Tim.
I figured it out.
He's the man with the plan. He's the host with the most.
Am I the smartest man alive? Probably, but like, okay, we did it.
You gotta stay humble though for the viewers.
Yeah, you guys didn't hear that. Sorry. But that should let me turn on sound redemptions again because they'll work.
Don't forget there is a dad joke redeem.
It did look like I had turned that off, but it is now back on.
Okay, well, Tim ruining all the bits. And now when you paint stuff, what you're going to notice is that when you first put a color on a model, it's going to be way brighter than what it's going to look like when it's fully dried. So if you paint it and you're like, ooh, that's way too bright, I would actually say just give it a second. Let it fully dry and then maybe come back and think about it. But in my mind, if it's bright, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
If it's bright, it's right.
Right. That's what Bob Barker always used to say.
That's true. Hey, so I have a question actually about something you said earlier about painting.
Yeah.
So you were talking about leaving some of the darker spots into contrast, but I was also under the impression that we weren't supposed to be using contrast.
So contrast in a, what's the right word? Contrast as in the non-proper noun.
The non-proper noun.
Yeah, because contrast as a proper noun, capitalized, is the paint that GW made. Contrast as in
Gotcha.
the concept of contrast.
Like in color theory.
Correct. There you go.
Okay. You know, I went to art school.
Sure.
I met a gentleman there that was very into color theory. His father named him after his favorite part of color theory.
Roy G. Biv?
No, Hugh.
That's a good one.
Hugh. He was there, actually, it kind of had a full sponsorship, so we just called him Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant.
How did he have a bum knee?
Yeah. He actually used to work at this
At a house?
adventure park.
Oh.
And then he was following one of the arrows.
Sure.
That goes around like the amusement parks that like tells you, you know, this is the way to the monorail or whatever.
Sure.
And he slipped. He slipped right onto the arrow with his knee. So, you know, he used to be kind of an adventurer until he took that arrow to the knee.
Until he took it. That's... Make sure you fling your brush across the room a couple times every time you paint.
That part I'm actually pretty good at.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah, the back wall at the studio looks kind of like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Wow.
Because it just kind of throw brushes. And my paint water had it too.
All right, at this point, just kind of being picky about where I want a little bit of contrast to be. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go after this now. So the way I would usually do it is, I'm pretty happy with that. Honestly, you could probably just leave it like that. But if you want to go the next level, this is actually one of those situations where a wash might be appropriate. I will use just a really watered down brown. So I'm going to use just this, whatever this, paint dry. I'm going to get the dark color. Tiny bit. Real tiny bit. Just put it right there. Make it real watery. We're going to kind of make like a little self-created wash.
Hey, thank you, Worthy, for the follow.
How do you even see where the follows are?
Oh, right here, the mini feed.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is, it's very, very watered down. I'm just going to coat pretty much the whole thing. And what this is going to do is it's going to kind of tie it all together, and it's going to make the next thing that I do even more, like, it's going to make it pop even more. Usually, I didn't bring it with me, but I have a thing that P3 actually made. It's called a leather wash, but they also might call it like a brown ink. I think it's the exact same thing. I don't know if there was actually anything different between the two. But they've gone through some, I think, paint redesigns for some of the stuff they've done. So I'm not sure what it might be called now, but they have something like that where it's just a very, very watered down, like, brown ink. And I use that and I wash over the whole thing, and what it'll do is I kind of tie it all together and give it like a little bit of a glossy look to it. Yeah, so yeah, exactly like Trish, is that her name? Your wife's name? Trish? Yeah, so that's like Trish is saying. I'm glad we actually have a painting professional in the chat.
Actually, to kind of circle back a little bit, when you were talking about the paint redesign, did you know that paint redesigns are done by...
it's going to be good, whatever he's about to say. Everybody pay attention.
Painter Designs. Uses the same amount of letters, actually the same exact